let's say you wanted to persuade people to vote Republican, and you're wondering, what could you do? What could you practically do? And I'm going to give you some persuasion tips here. And I'd be interested if any of you try my tips that I'm going to give you to see if you got a good result. So here's the first thing you need to know about persuasion if you're trying to get somebody who wasn't going to vote. Oh, and here's the important point. I'm not talking about getting people to change their vote from Democrat to Republican or vice versa. So this is not about changing anybody's mind. This is about getting somebody to vote who would not have otherwise voted, but you're sure that if they do vote, they're going to vote the same way you would. So it's about getting more people like yourself to vote. Here's what you need to know about persuasion. When a situation is complicated, people won't act. They need to know something's simple. All right? So if you can take something that people don't know how to do, or they're confused about it, or it seems complicated, you can find a way to simplify it, and I'll tell you how to do that in a moment. You've taken away 80% of the resistance. People don't like to figure stuff out because they think it might be hard to figure out how to vote. Do I have to drive to the DMV? Am I going to be on a list? What's going to happen? So people will have these objections, so if you can reduce them, that makes a difference. And I'll tell you how in a minute. The other thing that's good for persuasion is to get somebody to do something small if you want them to do something bigger. So if you can get somebody to cooperate in any small way, then you've primed them to do a little more. So the first thing you should do if you're trying to get somebody to vote because you think they'll vote the same way you will, is to figure out the smallest thing you can get them to do right away. And so here's how I would approach this. This is just a suggestion. This is not proven by science, but it's compatible with what anybody would know about persuasion if they study this field. So here's how I would do it. I would go online and Google how to register to vote. You're probably going to be influencing somebody in your state, so the links will be different based on your state. But find the link for your state and put that in a little, you might want to even shorten it from a big link into a small link, or link a word in your email so that people don't see a big scary link. So you don't want a big scary link. You either want to use bit.ly or one of the link shorteners, or in your email just use a word like, if it says go here to register to vote, then you just put a hyperlink behind the words go here. So you want to simplify it. You want to keep your email to the person you're trying to influence as short as possible. Short email. And you're going to say, Bob, if you want to register to vote, did you know you can do it by mail? And all you have to do is click this link, and you can register in less than 60 seconds. That's about what it takes. If you just pulled up the link and start typing in your name and address and stuff, something like 60 seconds. So now you've given a tiny, tiny little email with a link and this information that you can vote by mail. People who don't vote are not necessarily sure that they can vote by mail. They probably think they have to take some time off, got to drive in, got to find the polling place, you got to figure out what to do. So if you have, and by the way, I'm no expert on voting, so I assume everybody can vote by mail, but there may be some restrictions on that. So the first time you talk to the person you're trying to persuade, here's the other advice. Try to pick one person, 2 or 3 tops, but try to keep the number of people you're trying to persuade into a very small number, okay? Because that just keeps it clean and easy. So you want to talk to them first and say, hey, you thinking of voting? If they say no, and if you know that they would probably vote the same way you would, the first thing you say is, hey, I'll send you a link in case you want to register. So you've talked to them first. Now there's like a personal connection to this topic. And you say, oh, I'll just send you the link. It takes you 60 seconds to register, and then you can just do it by mail. We can do it during lunch if you have any questions. I'm going to fill out mine and break during lunch. And once you get your ballot, if you want to talk about it, do that. And then you could also say, and by the way, you don't have to vote for everything. You could just vote for the, top few things you understand. You don't have to fill out every form. So now you've taken this big scary thing that people who don't vote don't really understand. I'm going to make a confession to you. I haven't voted in so many years that I didn't know how. And the fact that I didn't know how felt like friction. It felt like something I didn't want to take time to figure out. And if I did take time to figure it out, would it require driving anywhere? Would it require me scheduling something? Would it put me on jury duty? I had some questions, but until yesterday, I didn't bother to find out the answers. So if you're trying to persuade somebody, go simple, simple, simple. Give them a link, say click here, tell them it'll take them 60 seconds, tell them they can vote by mail. There's an option there. Usually you could just say vote by mail. And tell them you'll help them fill it out during lunch. And they only have to vote for the few things they care about. They can ignore the rest. Right? So that is your mission. If anybody wants to try this, I want to report back. I'll probably ask you in a week or so. Report back if you can get anybody to click that link and sign up to vote by mail. See, the by mail part is pretty important because it's pretty easy to vote by mail. It's harder to take time off and find your polling station and everything else. So report back to me so we can do some A/B testing, and I will tell you if, then we'll see for ourselves if anybody could get more people to vote. Now, the bad way to get people to vote is just telling them to vote. Because again, they don't understand it. They think there might be something that will embarrass them. They think they might have to take time off. They don't really understand it. So simplify it to a link. Tell them it will take 60 seconds. Tell them to vote by mail. And tell them they only need to vote for the things they already understand. That's it. It's the simplest thing in the world. All right.